And hello, good evening. I'm Bradley Chapman, the host of The Diamond Show. Welcome wherever you are around the world. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you this evening. I'm joined by the very amazing Jan Moore out of Durango, Colorado in the USA. And on tonight's show, we're going to be talking to Jan about her gift to the world, which is being an intuitive success coach. As we run through the show this evening, we're going to be asking Jan a series of questions about her life and about her business, her aspirations for the future. But most importantly, we're going to be doing, if we can, we're going to try and do a live coaching session. If someone wants to jump online and join the show, I'm going to be posting the link now into the post feed. If you want to jump on the show, then by all means do so. All you need to do is to click the link. I'm just pasting that in there now. All you need to do is click on the link. Once you click on the link, make sure you're using Google Chrome. You can come into the show in the lobby. We can bring you up to the screen. We may also have Supreet Aurora joining us as well this evening on the show, who's out of India. We interviewed last night. But it's my great pleasure, actually, to introduce you to Jan Moore. Hi, Jan, and thank you very much indeed for joining the Diamond Show. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you, Bradley. It's a great pleasure to be here. I really appreciate being asked onto the show. I'm sure we'll have a great, fun conversation.
We will, Jan, of course, and of course it's my pleasure to have you on the show. To be interviewing people from around the world and understanding their journeys and hearing their stories, and the viewers been able to, to take tips and advice and help and support to enable them to grow their own journey is quite fantastic. And I guess tonight as well, we're going to be kind of spiritual in our approach. Already I'm feeling the tingles going down the back of my neck, alignment and everything. So, we're gonna kick straight off with a couple of questions. But before we do that, just to update the viewers of the show, and I'll do a few shout outs in a moment in terms of welcomes. But tonight's show is sponsored by Happy Cabs. And Umar Hussain. Umar Hussain is an Essex businessman and entrepreneur. He's currently writing his first book, and he owns a company called Happy Cabs in Chelmsford and Essex, covering Stansted, Morden, and Chelmsford. Fantastic guy, amazing entrepreneur, and we're very proudly sponsored by Happy Cabs this evening. Umar is also online, and good evening to you, Umar. The Diamond Show also forms part of the Diamond Experience with Bradley Chapman. Please do visit the website at bradleychapman.com. Get involved in the community. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's move across to Jan and bring Jan into the conversation, because what we want to do now is we want to understand. There's Umar just saying good evening, Bradley and Jan. And thank you very much indeed, Umar, for joining the show. So Jan, obviously, an intuitive success coach. Fantastic that you come online from Colorado, USA. First question to you, Jan, really is, how does a success coach help people?
Well, I think my point of view is on a bit of an echo here, Bradley. I don't know if that's an issue with you. That's better.
It's not good.
Okay, I approach it from multiple levels, and my belief is that it is mindset that is fundamental to any success, because I know that you can understand and learn all the business strategies and marketing strategies in the world, but if you've got things holding you back in terms of your belief system, then you're just not going to follow through and get the results that you deserve by applying these strategies. So I like to approach it from both angles, both the practical business strategy, or even, the approach that is really hands-on with working through people's limiting beliefs, core issues, and so on.
No, mindset does play such an amazing factor, and I think actually, so many people I've spoken to, and I'm sure it's yourself as well, that unless your mindset is in the right place, unless your thinking is in the right place, and you're aligned in terms of what you need to do in your mind first. Listen, anyway, you can achieve a successful result, and I know we're going to be talking a bit about mindset a bit later, as it is the core value. But and thank you, Jan. I mean, great. It's a very passionate aspect for me. Mindset. It's one of my core topics. So we're aligned there. Jan, listen, tell us a little bit about your background. On Facebook and around the internet, you're known as the spiritual empowerment and intuitive, people seer. Now, I thought this was a typo on Facebook. I thought it was a people seer, and gracefully you corrected me. It's the people seer. How did you come to get that name? How did you get to be called that?
Well, it was really the comments that I was getting from my clients. It's really about my ability to really tap into what are the issues that are holding people back, and to really go back to source and really address what created the experiences that created those beliefs. But also, on the other side of the coin, to really see the full potential of people, which often they don't see for themselves because they're still stuck in this self-judgment, self-criticism, lack of self-appreciation, and just tend to focus on the things that they're not doing that well, rather than really focusing on and appreciating their unique personality and skills. So it's how I address the limitations that they've created for themselves, but also really building this self-image that sometimes you need somebody outside of yourself to really be able to see that. And that's how I came to have the people seer as my title. But also, just as I kind of relate it to Avatar, if you're familiar with that movie. And I've not only done this with people, I do this with horses and animals and everything. It's like, there's that phrase, I see you. And it's not just looking at the outside. It's really almost engaging with the spirit of the person or the animal to say, I really see you for who you really are.
That's an amazing, and animals, we spoke about this yesterday. You're a horse lover. You've been involved in horses for a long time, and actually, I kind of joked yesterday about the Horse Whisperer, didn't I? The film with Kevin Robert Redford, which is an amazing film. And I was trying to understand how, working with horses, because they don't speak, physically in terms of English, they speak in other ways. And obviously, with animals as well as human beings, it's we speak in different ways, and horses do speak, don't they? You were saying to me yesterday.
Yes, and actually, it's interesting because we communicate so much non-verbally, and unless you're really present and have that awareness, you can miss a lot of signals that you really should be picking up in your communication, relationships, and so on. And my experience with horses has been an absolute apprenticeship in terms of really understanding the non-verbal stuff, how we communicate energetically. And I actually created a website called energetichorsemanship.com, which I haven't done a great deal with because I've been focused more on the people recently. But I've always worked with very highly strung horses that were in danger of kind of taking off with me at any moment. So I had to learn how to sense that energy, how to actually alter my own energy to control the situation. As I said, it's really a lesson in manifestation as well, because we can either, put out what we want to create, or we can be reflections of other people's intentions, which gets us then into reactive and, uncontrolled emotions, these sorts of things. So they've really been my teachers in many respects to bring me to where I am today and how I can use that knowledge with people.
It's quite fascinating, isn't it, that when people with people, you learn you learn a lot about people, but also you learn so much about yourself as well, don't you? And that's quite incredible, because when you're working with people, not only it teaches you to become better at working with people, you get to understand and look at people from a holistic point of view. So I think also when I'm coaching and working with people, I see things in myself as well, which enables me to improve and develop myself as a coach to help people. Do you find the same, that when you coach, you're being taught as well? Do you find that?
Oh, completely. And I mean, one of the things that I've found all along is that the people that I end up working with have had similar situations or are going through similar situations to things that I've been through myself. And even I'm still working through in some cases, because, you know, we're all a work in progress. None of us have actually got to the point of, well, I'm done now, I'm complete, I know everything, I've worked through everything. So very often, you know, by me helping them to work through things, I'm actually helping myself at the same time. And, you know, the intuitive thing is really about getting these insights that create real aha moments for my clients, but also kind of give me an aha moment for me at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I think coaching is a wonderful wonderful thing. And obviously with success coaching, it doesn't put you into a singular bracket. So for example, myself, you know, I'm a business coach, but success coaching can be applied to anyone, right? It's not just about people that's being in business. It could be applied to anyone in everyday life as well as business people. It's a fairly wide bracket, because you can achieve success in your life personally, you can achieve success in business, success with your children, your family. There are so many options to help people reach their idea or their determination of what their success is. Is that also fair to say?
Well, yes, and that's why I've got certifications as a life coach and executive coach, but I don't like to label myself as a life coach, because I work so much with people on their business as well, because of the experience that I've had and, you know, previous iterations of my career. But, you know, I know from experience, it's not just a belief, it's a knowledge that everybody has limiting beliefs of some description. I mean, there is a quote from the Self-Esteem book by Dr. Joe Ravino that 85% of people have self-esteem issues. Now, to me, everybody has self-esteem issues to some degree. Nobody is completely confident in every aspect of their life. So, you know, sometimes, but what happens is it affects all aspects. It's just that something may be more prominent or more obvious at one point than something else. So, you know, I've had clients come to me with where their biggest issue is relationships. But what happens is we get to the core issue of what's affecting those relationships, and it becomes apparent that it's also affecting their careers or their business. You know, because, for example, they haven't established boundaries. So people are kind of controlling them. They're too easily influenced by other people, even though it's not something that they want to do. And, you know, one particular example, it turned out that the career he was in was really because of the pressures and influence of parents, where he hadn't set the boundaries to really stand his ground in terms of what he really wanted to do. And so we kind of morphed from working on relationship and resolving that issue the way he wanted it, to then working on, well, what is it you really want to do? And that's where I can help people really get in touch with their purpose, you know, really see what their skills are, experience, all the things that have led them to that point, which are really signposts for the direction they're meant to go in. Whereas other people, I mean, I've been working with a financial planner whose real issue was about wanting to move his business to the next step. But he was very aware of some inner issues around fear, particularly with dealing with higher end clients. So we were really working primarily on his business, on his his approach, on his marketing strategies to attract his ideal client. But that also brought out some issues he was having in his relationships over communication and things like this. So that's why I like to really take a holistic view rather than putting things into boxes. I open the door to explore the other things. So we really get a very well-rounded approach that really improves things across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think helping people, me personally, we've got a bit of an echo on that side. Got a little bit of an echo there. That's it. Okay, we got it now. We're good. In helping people, I found in my journey, especially with coaching different businesses, organisations, and individuals, and their teams as well. And I call it the traffic light system. I call it the greens, the ambers, and the reds. Now, when I go into companies, and you may resonate with this, I call them the greens. The greens are ready for change. They're motivated. They're open. They want to change, and straight away they're into change. You've got the ambers that kind of want change, but they're a little bit afraid to move, and they kind of sit on the fence. They're kind of known as the fence sitters, if you like. But they could go to green, or they could, stay in their sort of resistance or reserve state, but they can be coached into the green zone. And then you've got the reds, and the reds are the people that are just so full of negative energy, negative thoughts, borderline narcissism, and unhappy sort of dissociative disorders that all they want to do is tread on you and your dream and tear you down because they have these bad feelings, thoughts that resonate inside them. And I've learned in my life painfully, at the age of 47 years of age, to stay away from the reds. And sadly, sometimes, it can be your family, it can be dear friends that actually are pulling your life down. And we go back to mindset and association. And I believe that you've got to get these reds, these negative people that's only going to pull you down, that only tread on your dream, the dream killers, the buzz killers, the people that actually will not say to you, you're doing a great job, or you could tweak this, or you could change this slightly, or keep moving forward, keep trying, don't give in. You've got positive influences in your life, and you've got negative influence. And I think it's important to get those negative influences out of your life. And I talk about that actually in my book, which I published, as you know, just on July the 4th by W.O.R.K.S World. But let's now move into a more deeper understanding of what problems people go through, what successful people are going through in terms of the problems and their challenges and the factors involved. Because, as you say, with mindset, it's very, very important to get that straight and leveled out. Now, you're the expert as the people seer in this field of expertise. So why don't you share now with the viewers, what problems successful people are going through, and what factors are involved. I'm sure that the viewers are going to be very keen to listen to these sort of tips and advice from you, Jan. So what problems do successful people go through, and what factors are involved, Jan?
Okay, so, it comes down to one fundamental issue, basically, and that is fear. And the reason why I call myself a spiritual empowerment and intuitive success coach is that a lot of the issues that people have is through the influence or dominance of their ego. And by ego, I don't mean, they're egotistical, but the ego is a part of the personality that is really fear-based, whereas our spirit is absolutely love-based. And part of the process is to actually develop that self-love, that self-belief. So when people are fearful, and that can be, it's not necessarily the, shaking in their shoes. It's more about what other people think of them. Is this whole, that there's an underlying issue with many, many people about not being good enough, or not and that can manifest itself in not only not clever enough, not intelligent enough, not skilled enough, but it can also be, based on physical, not pretty enough, not fit enough, all of these things. And that, if you think about it, is based on the principle of scarcity, not enough. So if you're locked into that principle of scarcity, then that manifests not only in the amount of success that you can achieve, it manifests in the financial abundance you can achieve, and all these different permutations. So what I like to do with what I do with people as a principle is get them to express what aspects of that are really affecting them, So it could be in the relationship. It could be that they're not getting enough clients. It could be that they're getting lots of leads, but they're not closing people because they haven't got the confidence to really ask for money. I mean, I've seen this so many times. People can talk to these prospects really well, but they hold back from actually asking for the sale. And there's this whole stigma about, how do I plug my business? And this is one aspect that I won't go into in detail now, but it's about shifting the energy around things. So you're in control of the relationship and the conversation rather than feeling kind of the underdog in those conversations. But what I like to do is, as I say, understand what is uppermost in their mind at this point, the problems that are holding them back. And then I actually ask them to go back and do a complete life review and actually describe all the situations that have been emotionally charged for them, where they've created these negative perceptions. And it's a process of working through, and I can spot the themes that are running through. I can pick out what are the most significant things and actually work through shifting the perception of those things. And the core of my approach is what I call the power of neutrality, which is that everything in the universe is neutral and we actually assign interpretations to it. And I mean, I'm sure you can think of lots of examples where two people have completely different perceptions of the same situation. And, there are infinite interpretations. But unfortunately, when people lock onto a negative interpretation, then that's stored as a belief, which then if they have other experiences that kind of reinforce that, it becomes very difficult to shift. So that's one process in itself. People want to move forward, but they find that they're holding back. They've got resistance because the belief in themselves and the possibility of reaching that level of success that they really want to achieve. So, it's really a process of building that self-confidence and getting them to really appreciate the skills and reinforce and anchor in the times when they have been successful. So it's, and then also working on mindfulness in terms of getting them to really raise an acute awareness of the thoughts, of the feelings, and helping them to understand that they have the power to choose what they create in their mind. A lot of people don't realize that they are actually in control of the thoughts. And it's a great analogy that I used from my horse riding days, was that, your mind is a bit like a horse. If you allow a horse to bolt, if you let it go, the chances of stopping it once it's got into its stride, are minimal. Whereas if you sense something coming up that if you don't get it under control, immediately it's going to run away with you, it's much easier to stop. So when people learn to really be on the alert for these thoughts, you can pull in the reins and say, no, we're not going that way, we're going this way. And then really focus on outcome, not problem. And this is the problem in itself, that people get so stuck in the problem and really focus on all the problems that they might have that would stop them getting to where they want to go. You know, you can train your brain to absolutely instantly shift from a very gentle awareness of the problem that you're not feeding energy to, and then shifting to, okay, what outcome do I want? And I've learned this riding horses that were about to throw me or run off with me. And it's like, okay, this horse is about to go. My outcome is calm, under control. And it absolutely works. And this is how the universe works. It works on whatever is given the most energy in your thoughts and feelings. So by learning and training your brain to shift into that outcome mode, it's incredible what you can actually achieve in opportunities, synchronicities, outcomes that most people would say were impossible to achieve, but many of which, you know, I could give quite a few examples of that, you know, that defy logic.
You know, it's quite powerful. Quite powerful stuff. We've got sound kickback again there on the Echo Jam, but okay, it's gone now. It's very powerful because, you know, the journey that I've been through for all of my life in the different businesses that I've been involved in, the consultancy work that I've done, interim work in different companies. I've worked in some amazing organisations. I've had some amazing businesses, and I've also worked in some organisations that are just absolutely terrible, dire, managed by some really, really, really poor managing directors. But when you do run your own business, it is not easy because there's so many hurdles to overcome, especially when you're starting out. It's the early stages and that inertia and that rhythm, you know, you're looking to gain. And yes, it is an emotional journey. I mean, it was 2 years ago I decided to want to make a transition in my life and move more towards, you know, Bradley Chapman as a brand, as an individual. And I started working on that 2 years ago, and I was working with different clients with Yes You Can, Inspired to Achieve. And then I said to myself, no, I really want to push myself as a brand, as an individual. And I felt selfish actually for a moment in my mind, thinking, you know, pushing myself as a brand, Bradley Chapman, but I am my own brand, I am my own identity. But the point being is this, that you go through some emotions, and it's a bit like you're building a car. And, you know, you're putting all these bits on your vehicle when you're growing your business, not just from a psychological and personal development point of view, but from a physical point of view to make the business work. And it's almost like you get this idea, you put it together, you start making bits and pieces of this vehicle, which is your business. And inside the heart of the engine is this computer, the mind, which is your mind. And if your mind's not working effectively, then the car's going to stutter. It's going to be creaking and groaning and backfiring. And the thing is this, that as you grow your business, and I'm going through this now, and with the Diamond Experience and my book and all this, and the Diamond Show, and I know that other people will resonate with this because they're going through the same thing. You have these moments of really powerful energy and everything's coming to you. And you have these moments when you just can't seem to break through. Everything you touch turns to mud, and you get these roadblocks, and you do get hit, you do get slapped down. And I was talking to Supreet Aurora in India last night. It's almost like pushing a peanut uphill, isn't it? With a pointy stick up the mountain until you start to get it over and go down the other side. So I can completely understand and resonate with the things that you're saying as a success coach, because I've experienced all of them. Not just in my life and in any journey of any kind I've worked or any business, but right now, the same thing with all the pitfalls, the setbacks of getting your mindset. You know, and I've had days where I'm just like, oh, you know, I want to throw the computer out of the window, and I'm just so frustrated because I can't get it all going. And other days you're just rolling, your energy's pumped, you're so psyched to the flow that's coming to you, and imagination is creative and creativity, you're making things happen. So I totally resonate with you. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how great you are, whether you're great in business, you're a multi-millionaire, it doesn't matter whether you're on a low income, everybody has an opportunity to reach success. So I'd like you to share with everyday people, what are your 3 tips, short tips on everyday people being able to achieve success? What would be your 3 tips?
The first tip is get to know yourself. And this is a really important part of what I do. I take people through personality profiles and put them through an exercise that really brings out, recognizes their skills and abilities. The second thing is to follow your heart. And, you know, we're so programmed to do sensible things and responsible things that often turn out to be absolutely soul destroying, you know, because they're not what we're here to do. And the third thing is to accept that you're going to have challenges along the way, because the only way that we grow is through meeting challenges. And, you know, we all have a choice. We can either give up on our dreams, or we can take the view out of neutrality that in this challenge somewhere is a gift. And it's what I said to you yesterday. It's like your diamond. In there, there's a real gem. It doesn't matter what you're going through. This is a gift. And so those are my 3 tips. If I could just add something which kind of brings in a bit of the spiritual aspects to it.
Yeah, totally.
People talk about life purpose. I mean, there are a lot of people on this planet that haven't even grasped the concept that we have a purpose. It's like we're just kind of doing as we're told, or, you know, people's guidance or influence or pressure and so on. But in my view, and again, these are kind of intuitive insights that I get, we actually have a soul purpose and a life purpose. So our soul purpose is really addressing these areas of personal growth, spiritual growth, personal development, you know, particular challenges that we have in relation to those fears or core issues. And the life purpose, so that the soul purpose is about us as beings. The life purpose is what we do that gives us the kind of situations that are perfect for actually creating the opportunity to grow in those soul purpose areas. So it's through the doing that we develop the being. So when you hit, you know, a block, a resistance, what you're being given is the opportunity to work through that to the next level of growth in that particular area that's affecting you. So where you lose faith in yourself, where you feel you can't do it, where you think this is too hard. But it's actually your opportunity, what I call evolutionary catalyst, for you to get to the next level. And, you know, for me, I carried a feeling of not good enough for years through childhood experiences and really just not feeling in places. And I also, my other issue was around scarcity, you know, because of my childhood experiences as well. And that has been a progressive process for me to recognize when these things are being triggered and actually work through them. And I always say it's like peeling off the layers of an onion. You know, it's not just like that. You'll progressively shift in your perspective and the energy around money, or about how, you know, letting go of some of the fear of what people think of you. You know, it's none of their business, or it's none of your business, I should say, because they're judging from where they are, which has nothing to do with you. So, you know, this is the thing that if you kind of look at the bigger picture and the higher purpose of things, you're much less likely to be critical of yourself. You'll just accepted it as a path on your journey to self-realization, self-love, self-appreciation. And that's where you get to that feeling that you are being successful. And there is no end to success, because you're always going to want to get to the next level. You know, the more that you awaken to your potential and you realize that anything is possible, there's always the next level, the next level. And that's not out of dissatisfaction, it's not out of, it's more out of inspiration than motivation. So
it's a great feedback. I wanted to ask you something else also, Jan, very enlightening. So I wanted to ask you something else. We've got a bad echo.
yeah.
So I wanted to ask you something again, and this is about relationships in business and relationships in life, because when relationships in business are aligned, whether you are, client to customer, or you're working within a business together, a board of directors, or in your life, relationships, I believe, are second to mindset, are the second thing that is the most important aspect of your business and your life and your ultimate success and your harmony between your relationships. Now, all of us in our lives have experienced relationships that have been good for us, relationships that have been bad for us, and relationships that have very little impact on our lives, but they've been okay. Now, when relationships go bad, people can react to certain things. When a relationship is in place, they sulk, they get a hump, they withdraw, or they will throw an arrow at you, or they'll be a passive aggressive. And for me, I just don't like the funny business in relationships. I think if you're just open as best as you can be, say how you feel and how it is, but take patience and understanding someone else's feeling and what they're going through, you'll have a relationship that potentially could go on forever. Now, look, I've had 3 relationships in my life, in terms of, women, long-term relationships. I've had various businesses that I've been in and out of love with. I've had business success. I've lost businesses. I've gone through transformation. I'm sure viewers will understand this. So how can we increase? I think it's down to patience and understanding and, controlling and using the right emotions when you speak rather than acting. But how can we improve our relationships, Jen?
Well, it is very much connected to mindfulness, and I want to return to this concept of neutrality, because what that does, Eckhart Tolle wrote the book A New Earth, which was absolutely life-changing for me. It was when I left, I split from my second husband, and really started to understand through this book the nature of ego. And it's like it was painting the picture of my husband to an absolute T. And the thing with mindfulness is, if you apply the principle of neutrality to everything, what it does is it puts you in the position of what Eckhart Tolle calls the observer. So what it does is it gives you space between you and your response and the situation that you're experiencing. And as just to explain, I kind of look at neutrality as a bit like walking a tightrope. On the tightrope, you're in a position of neutrality. And as you said before, there are relationship situations that just don't matter. So they kind of stay on the neutral line. And then, if you've got something more significant, you've got 2 choices to make. You can react in the negative, which is very much being under the control of the ego, in anger, in resentment, in, reacting to how you interpret somebody is treating you. Or you can go into the positive, and again, the positive is very much about outcome. What do I want as the outcome from this situation? And there's another great book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, who talks about don't take things personally, because if you think about it, we're all operating from a place of perception, and there's a big difference between perception and truth. Perception can have multiple options, whereas truth is finite. And everybody is working from their perspective, which is influenced by their beliefs, by their fears, by their early experiences, by their expectations. Rather than being reactive, actually be responsive in a very conscious way, That's how we can actually improve on our communication. And, you know, the underlying principle as well, this is another of the 4 agreements, is don't make assumptions. We tend to jump to conclusions about what people mean when they say certain things. Whereas if you question and, you know, why do you feel like this? What's prompted this? Da, da, da. So you're actually getting more information rather than jumping to conclusions. Then that is another great principle. Be impeccable with your word. You know, don't go on the attack. Don't gossip about somebody. Don't make critical judgments. You know, judgment is a big challenge for people because we've been taught to be critics all our lives. And, you know, always do your best.
Everybody's a backseat driver, Jan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, those are the, and of course, when it comes to, really, we all want to step or need to step into a position of leadership. Because leadership, to me, and this again goes back to my experience with horses, leaders have to be trusted. They have to be inspirational. They have to be supportive. They have to nurture their team, not beat them with sticks and get behind them with a big stick and be critical and blaming. You know, if we can inspire and be leaders absolutely committed to service and the highest quality of everything that we do, that is going to actually create a reality where we attract the right people, we attract the right circumstances. All those high resonating, high vibrational frequency people will come to us, and the energy vampires will just take a different route.
The energy vampires, I just absolutely love that. So Jan, what's in store for the future? I mean, you're going through quite an amazing and fantastic shift right now. So what's in store for the future? Where are you going? What are you doing? What are your aspirations? And where are you taking Jan Moore? Where are you taking Jan Moore?
Well, you know, I've been very blessed because, you know, I have my own radio show on Cosmic Reality Radio, and it's a Cosmic Creating Show. And I've had some wonderful guests who've really given me some great validation as to my purpose, which is very much about helping people to become fully empowered and really step into their highest potential. So that's a big part of what I'm doing. And I love to work with people one-to-one and work with more clients. I also want to really start to get my online version of this out as well. So it can be available to a lot wider audience, and actually start to do more workshops as well. But my bigger vision, which I've had for some time, is to create a retreat center, which is really focused around conscious living, where not only my programs can be presented, but others as well, with maybe slightly different approaches, where we can focus in on natural health, on conscious business, what does conscious business really mean, and on the whole thing of sustainability, you know, a real holistic approach to how we can best live as conscious beings. So that's kind of out there on the horizon. I've had quite a major change in my personal life in the last couple of months. And, you know, obviously I'm in Durango, but I'm from England.
We've lost sound. We've lost sound. Your end there, Jan. Oh, you're back now.
So I'm very much one for setting intentions and seeing where the universe leads me and following what I call the treasure hunt. You know, you follow the clues to the prize at the end.
I really felt inspired. Well, inside the God Messenger, we've had some you know, over the last few days leading up to tonight's interview. I'm an experience on my chat with you on there as well. But on behalf of Radio Works and myself, Bradley Chapman, the host of the Diamond Show, obviously to come on air this evening and sharing your gift. You know, I'm so pleased that we connected. I think we connected by me. I saw one of some weight, 20 pounds, which was, you know, starting to tune your body ready for this next evolution in Jan Moore's life. And congratulations with the or on playback. Obviously, thank you, Jan. Another Diamond Heart for taking the time to come on and sharing your gift this evening with my audience.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Bradley. I've thoroughly hope we can do this again sometime.
Quickly, I think the beauty, I mean, you know, just very quickly, about 7 years ago, I had it was across the UK. It was, you know, looking and I actually had a little TV show called Raw Business TV where I was broadcasting. Obviously, it's made the world such a small place. And I used to have to travel to London to go and meet an entrepreneur and interview them. We take photographs and they appear in a magazine. It would take such a long time to prepare it. You click a couple of buttons, we can go live and broadcast to the world different topics. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. I keep losing sound, Bradley, so I'm having to lip read rather. But yes, I mean the internet certainly has risen significantly, and I mean I've been working with people all over the world, which wouldn't have been possible, you know, not that many years.
Where I think it's either I'm going to wrap. So interviewing in Colorado of America watch. Please do get post journey that you think you'd like to share with the UK and the rest of the world. Please do contact me directly via my Facebook page. But in the meantime, we'd just like to thank everybody for watching. Thank you to Happy County in Essex for sponsoring the shows this week. And thank you, you know, second half of this year. Yes, we'll do it again.
Thank you.
Bless you. Okay, so audience, thank you very much indeed. Have a great evening. This is Diamond Show. Good night.